All right. Let's see. All right, you ready?
Ready.
We are live on the Mighty Veedverks Airship, bringing you big news today. I'm here with Julie Richardson and Chris Bedrosian from Flora's Mercantile. I don't know. I know why I say mercantile.
It's definitely
because
not.
I grew up in Kansas.
Yeah, but it's definitely not mercantile.
Mercantile.
That's really wrong.
But so everybody knows her as Flora, and I'm gonna take care of a couple of technical things here real quick. Make sure that people can hear us and stuff. If you can, I would appreciate it if you would tell me. Post one of them there messages. See my boost unavailable up there.
Nice.
Someday I will be able to boost a post, and it's going to be amazing. Mm-hmm. We're playing Dub Conscious in the background, which one of our industry friends, Adrian Zelski, is the guy from Dub Conscious, it turns out. And it's I love the band. We listen to them all the time. So thank you. And we're going to play Dre Gaines later on because I've got him in my little playlist. And that is cool. Let's see. Somebody give me some kind of reaction to let me know if you can hear us okay, and we will feel better about this. I hate it when we've done it a couple of times where the audio was jacked and we just you know
you
it's
should
too
move,
late.
You should move the camera so that it's more up and towards the screen because we're looking at the screen so much.
Yeah.
And then it makes it look like we're looking at the camera more. Because otherwise your eyes are a little shifty off. Shifty
How about
off,
that?
Shifty off.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that way, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Something like that.
That totally makes sense.
Magic.
I did the magic of technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that looks good. That's a good idea. So now we can watch ourselves a little bit delayed. But
Without having to move your head.
hey, what's
around.
up, Carlos? Everything sound. Thank you for tuning in, Carlos and Stanchy. Let's start. So this,
All right.
You are the owner. Tell me your job title of Flora.
I would say owner. Yeah,
owner of
that's
Flora's,
the most accurate thing.
Flora's Mercantile, and you guys have a huge portfolio of products. They're
you.
amazing products. They're one of the companies that we can vouch for, that we know where you get your raw materials. We know how much time you spend, how much money you spend on testing to make sure that you put out products that are perfect.
But you know, we are more compliant than medical marijuana companies are.
Are you?
They have an allowable level of pesticides, and ours is 0. I'm never going to allow pesticides in our product ever.
Good.
I don't care if it's allowed.
Nor should anybody.
I don't care if it's allowed. We say we're organic, and I mean that. There's also a requirement where you can be within 15% of what you say is in it. So if on a 1,500, let's just say it's a 1,000 because it's easier to do the math, 15% is you're getting a 750. But you're paying for a 1,000 milligram tincture. And I just think that's beyond ridiculous. That is way too big.
That's actually more
number.
stringent than the FDA requirements for generic drugs.
What's the FDA's?
It's 30%.
Holy
So a
moly.
generic, if you've got a generic
the
version of a
what?
brand drug, they have to get within 30%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So 15%
I thought
is actually
15
better.
was like,
No, 15's too much. I mean, like,
15's
I think
too
you
much.
have the same mentality, but
if I say there's 1,500 in there, I
there's
want there to be 1,500 in there.
Yeah.
And our tests are getting like 1,550. And,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, at one point for a 100 milligram, it was 200. And I was like, it's not that big enough of a batch.
Yeah.
And, we're making $1 or whatever. So, okay, I'll make $2. It didn't seem like it was worth the effort to re-batch up and then pay another $50 for the test.
Yeah.
Right? It's $50 every time when you're doing a cannabinoid test. Well, they're $35 now. It was
Yeah.
$50 originally, so that's stuck in my head. But we did some tests last month on 3 different products that failed pesticide. I spent almost $400 on 5-panel testing for all of these products with the assumption that they were going to pass all of the testing because it's somebody that we know and we've bought from and it's organic. And it came up pesticide positive, and they said, well, it's within the allowable, and I was like,
We can't have that.
you should already know
We
that
can't
there
have
is
that.
no allowable for us. There
Yeah.
is. It's just none.
Yeah.
The heavy metals, that's a natural thing, and if it's a natural number and not some really highly elevated,
Yeah.
poison soil thing, then that's that's natural. That seems okay to me if there's
Yeah.
a little bit of that showing. But pesticides, and the
Yeah, we
whole
can't have 'em.
we didn't
We
spray it must be drift. I'm just gonna call BS on that. I don't really care why, honestly.
Yeah.
And one of them actually was a banned pesticide, which means you can't make product and you're supposed to destroy
Yeah.
it. But since there are no real actual compliancy rules that we are required to be under, except that you're not supposed to make your customers sick from poisoning them and bacteria and right. And you have to be licensed in some way, right? There's the wholesale food manufacturing if you're doing that, and right, you guys did it through CDPHE
Yeah.
as we did, and anyway, the requirements are there if you're a medical marijuana company and you are required to follow them.
Yeah.
But there is nothing like that set up for industrial hemp. Not yet. There
Not
will
yet.
be.
It's
They need
down
to pass the
uh,
food bill so that we actually can comply to something, but there's no there yet.
Yeah.
Because you're not allowed to do food, and I don't care what they call tea or tincture. It's you put it in your body, you put it on your skin. It gets utilized in the same way. It's a molecule. Everything's food. Everything is food.
Yeah.
You spray that poisonous, I don't want to say a brand name, in the air to freshen your air. You're breathing in poison, and it's getting on your skin, and you're absorbing it. Every molecule, every chemical that we encounter, everywhere, makeup, everything is poisoning us. It's astonishing, actually, how fast we're doing it.
Yeah.
And the thing that I can control is what I make and where I buy my product.
Yeah.
And if I can support a farmer that is legitimately organic and they can show it and prove it,
Yeah.
I will give them my money so that our product complies.
Yeah.
But and it's going to be interesting to see, how that actually develops and what compliancy rules they decide to set up and how they're going to fashion this industry. But I think if we can lead the way in some way and show that, the medical marijuana, if we follow, the testing and the rules set around that, the city of Denver has set up a whole compliancy checklist for manufacturers to jump through if they want you to be able to sell their products in the city of Denver. Because there's no compliancy rules set, the city of Denver was like, well, okay, bippity boppity, here you go. And so a lot of what we're doing is also based on what they have put up as their standards.
Right.
And you have to write endless
It's a lot
writing.
of you have to write a lot
forever.
of SOPs.
Yeah, and those take if you want to actually not just jerk your way off through it, and you want to do a good job and really be compliant and really follow and create standards that are real and not just whatever, right? It takes a lot of time to do that. You have to think through your process and think about what you really are doing, and is this a stupid way to do this, and how do we decarbon, and what standards are we following for the decarbon? Why? What are those numbers, and what are we basing those on? It's not random. There's reasons behind this stuff. When you bake a cake, the reason that you don't poison people is because you bake it at a certain temperature for a certain length of time. It's called a recipe, but this is all new business. And
We
so
call them
nobody-
formulations when
baby.
we're talking with CBD. Yeah, recipes.
All the math. Who knew I would need to do so much math in my adult life? I had no idea the endless math.
We do a lot of math.
It's ridiculous.
A lot, but it's all pretty.
It's usually mostly straightforward.
It's all. I think my kid now is learning that math in, I think in 6th grade now they'll
Sixth
be
grade?
teaching it. But I mean, you got to be good at it. Better be good at 6th
Well,
grade.
you're going to
now.
waste a crap load of money on testing trying to
Yeah.
get the formulation right, because you got to keep fixing it, and the testing costs, $35 every time. You get that wrong 10 times. It's a lot of money.
You helped. I'm sorry. You helped propel the hemp / CBD industry forward when a couple of years ago you applied to the Colorado Department of Health and the Environment to get a kitchen license, basically for for your business, and you put on there that you were going to use, CBD, and you were
shut down so fast.
Yeah, and
so you, prior to us filling out the application and not lying and actually saying we were putting infused, because we originally wanted to do baked goods, and before the food bill, as soon as the food bill gets turned on, you will be able to do baked goods. But right now, all baked goods are illegal. We're doing the dog crackers under the auspices of cottage baking, because that's the only way we can legally put hemp extract in food, dog food, human food, any kind of food. But I didn't know that. I didn't know you couldn't put CBD and hemp extract in food. You put marijuana in food. Didn't make any sense at all to me. I was just like, wait, what? I mean, completely threw me for a loop. It didn't even enter my mind that it was even something I should ask about or check with somebody, because it just seemed like a natural progression. The 0.3 or less THC requirement, right, makes it legally hemp.
Yep.
Why can't you put it in food? It didn't make any sense to me at all. Didn't even think it would be a problem. So I built my whole business around switching us from organic baked goods to organic CBD infused baked goods, test out all of these recipes, do all of this research, figure out how to do the infused butter so it doesn't taste horrible, figure out how much to use to make recipes that hit a certain number, spend all this money testing, and like in January I was like, okay, we're gonna pull the trigger, yahoo! And we set up the website, and we set up all of the paperwork to incorporate, right? All the hoops you got to jump through to establish a new business, a legitimate new business. And so I applied finally to the paperwork for the state of Colorado CDPHE, Colorado Department of
Public Health and the Environment.
Thank you. And I immediately get back this letter that said, moron, you can't put hemp in food. And I was like, wait, what? And I called him and we had this whole discussion about it. And, at that point I basically went to bed for a month and just didn't come out because I didn't know what to do. But it wasn't a month, couple of days, I get out of bed and then I'm just like even more furious because this whole thing that I'm doing, this is motivated by fury, just blind, pure, unadulterated fury that my sister died of cancer and she needn't have had to, and she didn't have to suffer, especially if we had have known about CBD, because she didn't want to use marijuana. She wasn't doing chemo and she wanted to do a natural cure. Oh my God, a natural cure. Why wasn't this available? And when I found out about CBD, everything went, okay, this is what we're doing now. Everything, every fiber of my being, every penny that I own, every moment of my time is now motivated to get CBD out there so that we can make sure that people don't die of cancer. I mean, honestly, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I'm not telling you that CBD cures cancer. I'm not a doctor. But that's why I'm doing this, is because I am positive it has an astonishing benefit to humans and all mammals. And that fury has motivated me to not stop, and I'm not going to stop. And if they say you can't do food, like they did, and if the food bill doesn't pass and we can't, continue to make food or the dog crackers or whatever changes, it doesn't really matter. I'll make tea. If I can't make tea, then I'll make tincture. And if I can't make tincture, I'll make salve. And if I can't make salve, I don't know, but I'm going to not stop moving forward with this business. And I am never going to stop promoting CBD in any way that I can. And, Harry, my partner, and I spend an inordinate amount of time at events. Oh, sorry. It's astonishing. She died in 2011. It's still just a giant empty hole. And it's motivating, but it's exhausting to always be so sad. And I can't quite figure out how to get past that. I know I will someday, and it won't be so bad, but it makes it hard to talk about, unfortunately. Because she was an amazing person, and it was just too great of a loss.
I can't sit here now.
Sorry, I know. Getting all drippy. If I could get a Kleenex, my darling.
Yeah, we even have Kleenex
That would be
now.
awesome. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You're kind of patting.
I know.
So tell me about your saddest childhood memory.
Oh gosh, yeah, really. Yeah, no, that would be. Oh, thank you. Here, let me get a couple. There's
So the result of that
always such an
was
easy
that-
crier. All my life, I've been an easy crier, but this has kicked it up a notch for
No,
sure.
don't take any credit away from me. I'm the next Barbara Walters.
Yeah. Right.
Excuse me.
My leading questions include: tell me about your
Tell me
products.
about your hardest, most painful childhood.
No. But,
So we have. Okay, let's segue.
let's segue into this.
So we did with the So the thing about the health department was they said you can't do what you want to do, and I shut down, and then I went, okay, what is everybody else doing? What can we do? What can we do? Now, cosmetics and things that you put on the outside, that's easy. But I'm not a cosmetic maker. I'm a baker, right? That's what we were doing, and I'm actually pretty good at it.
Yes.
Have you had any? Yeah, we hardly have any time, so I don't bake anymore, but yeah, I'm a good baker. Good, solid, standard American with a little awesome twistiness. So a chocolate chip brownie, but with a layer of like coconut infused in the middle.
Oh, that sounds divine.
Yeah. So there's always a little extra like ha in there because you gotta have good goodies, just plain goodies. Or a little tiny German chocolate cake, all three stacked up like this high, but only this big round. So the German chocolate frosting part is as wide as the cake part.
Nice.
Ooh, those are good. And we did these little half moon chocolate pies. It's basically melted chocolate and butter inside a pie shell. Oh my God, they were so good. And you just eat the whole thing like a little piggy pig because you can pick the whole thing up and just. Oh my God, they were good. We did apple too, but the chocolate ones were just astonishing.
So now they're telling you that
And
you
cinnamon
can't.
rolls and so we had all these recipes ready to roll, and a lot of the baked goods were cookies that we could freeze because baking. It's funny starting a baking business and not being an early morning person.
Yeah.
So one of the things we spent a lot of time doing was testing the recipes and making sure that we could freeze them and that they froze beautifully. And weeks or months later, they would come out of the freezer and be just as good as the fresh cookie. Mm-hmm. And what we discovered, and this is no great leap, is a cookie with a crap load of butter does that. And one of the most buttery cookies in the world is sugar cookies. So, and that's the cookie that Flora made. That I remember eating when I was a little girl. So this whole thing with Flora, the sugar cookie, has just followed.
Flora's her grandmother, who's a migrant from.
No, that's my dad's mom. Flora Farmer she was born in Illinois, I think. She was married in Lake City, Idaho, and then moved to California after they got married. And so all of our family is from California. I'm a third generation Californian because she moved there when she was young, and her whole family followed her out. Her parents, her grandparents,
Really?
the brother, everybody came out to California,
She sold dynamite to the miners.
She was a school teacher, and then she was a housewife and a mother, and I got to know her a little bit. She didn't pass away until she was in her 90s, and so she passed when I was 13. Mm-hmm. But, it's just one of those things that sticks with you. And I don't have very many good memories as growing up as a kid, and that's one of them, is her cookie. So it just made sense to name the bakery after her when I had the idea just to do baked goods in 2010.
Oh, yeah.
And then, it just morphed to Flora's Mercantile because
Well,
it just made sense.
It's so interesting that you're still following her path. If she was a school teacher, and think about it, this is a business that was completely, spawn out of love, for your sister.
Right.
And then you're following in your grandmother's footsteps because you're so passionate about educating people.
That's a lot of what we do. Yeah,
I mean, it's not just what
time.
you're selling and what you're doing. It's you're passionate about education.
I want people to understand why. Mm-hmm. Do it's when they had patent medicine, right? When Flora was a young girl and they had patent medicine. Well, a lot of the stuff was made using these recipe books, basically, right? It's a big pharmacopoeia that talked about plants and how to distill these plants down into some essence in some way, and what those plants were used for. Books talking about cannabis and lavender and opium and how to make that stuff into a useful drug and what to use to treat, right? This stuff's been around forever. And that's all they had access to back then, right? So just the whole idea of patent medicine of the time was a lot of the products were opium-based or cannabis-based.
Yep.
And sometimes the two mixed together. And that was what they had available. That's pretty much all they had available. And, you know, I know there's like, you know, the snake oil, which was just like, you know, poison and alcohol. But there were legitimate practitioners who made these products and sold them. And I read something really interesting in a book that Margarita owns. She owns Hemplement down in Colorado Springs. And she collects books about hemp, and she has one of those. And there's a recipe in there about how to make hemp extract using alcohol, which is what we do. Ours is distilled, so it gets cleaned up a little bit. But the other thing they talk about, because with cannabis-based extracts, you never know how strong they're going to be, because it's all based on the starting plant material. And so the way that they used to test it was to give it to dogs. And if it made the dogs too dizzy and wibbly, that they would dilute it. And then they would test it again, and if the dog was like, yeah, okay, and went and take a nap, then they knew they had the right strength.
My dog loves CBD.
Yeah. But
Dogs,
this is a THC tincture, but
well,
still.
my dog loves weed too.
Really? Does he eat it? What kind of dog?
A corgi.
Lala will eat any tincture that I put in my palm, even the 1500.
I don't think he'd
and that's
go eat
really,
a bunch of dabs and stuff, but
does he are you giving him the go-go juice still? Does he just eat it, or you
I give
put it
him
on
the
his food?
1500. My dog's getting up in age, and that's what I mean. We'll give him a dropper full of the 1500.
Keep him rolling.
Keep him rolling.
I have,
He
somebody
likes to
who
play
has
him some fetch, and he's like 11 now.
That's awesome.
And he will just run himself into the ground, and
Just keep rolling. They're really,
and yeah,
they got a lot of energy because that herding instinct.
Yeah. Oh, he's
You gotta
all
keep him
for it.
busy.
You couldn't, when he's in the moment, he will just take himself beyond. He'll start to pat, like
Lala does
his
this
mouth
thing where
is
she goes,
so huge. I'm done. Throw it again.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, that's a game changer for him.
Yeah.
And
It's astonishing. We have so many stories. The thing about dogs is, you can't give dogs a placebo and go, this will make you feel better. They either feel better or they don't, and it's either obvious or it's not.
And you can see it too. Like if a dog's hurting, and you give, maybe your experience has been different. Our dog, if he's hurting, like you give him CBD, and like within about, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, like he'll start like,
feel a little better.
like kind of just
Wow,
wiggling on his back on the ground and going, and you can tell, and you can tell he's getting the same kind of relief that I feel from CBD, which is just like yesterday you had an event, the cup of tea in a joint, and I drank some of your CBD tea and had partook a little bit of other substances that are legal in Colorado, and I got
God, I live in Colorado.
finally just.
Did it? It finally relaxed her a little? Nice.
Yeah, I had a headache all day yesterday up until about that point.
Nice.
And,
we've heard some
usually have
astonishing stories about the tea. A guy came by and got a whole bag of loose tea, and I was just like, oh, here. I mean, we didn't even bag it up because we're still working through the process of packaging up some new product. And so I had some sitting around because we're testing out bag sizes to box sizes to weight to fill. Right? And all the bags fill differently and look differently. And one of them looked great, but the bottom leaked. I was like, come on, man! Oh, no. So we had all of these little bags full of loose tea, and I just sold him one for almost cost because he said they've lived in Colorado for years. His girlfriend has Lyme's disease, and she has tried everything. Every cannabis product, everything. And the only thing that ever made her feel better was our ginger lemon tea. I was like, okay, here's some tea. Take
Well,
this.
I mean, we've known for centuries all the
Tea's-
benefits
tea has
of
a-
ginger and, you know.
tea's good.
That's
just all
what's
by
so
itself.
interesting is that you can mix these other plants, you know, with it and enhance it.
You get a lovely flavor profile with the hemp because it adds this kind of sweet, herbal, but it's not, you know, it's not like putting your nose in a bottle of medical marijuana, right? It's much more subtle than that,
Right.
because the hemp doesn't have the same terpene profile. Although it still has a lot of terpenes.
It
We've
does.
done a
It's got weird
bunch.
terpenes in it too. It's got
Yeah.
the expensive terpenes.
We've done a bunch of
It's
tests.
osamine. It's got the
our
weird
raw-
ones that are high dollar terpenes.
Yeah,
like,
we've done a bunch of tests on the raw because I want to see what's coming, and
Yeah.
we've also done on some of the distillate.
yeah.
And unfortunately, in distillate, because of the process, like chemicals, medium weight chemicals, heavy chemicals, or molecules, you lose a few terpenes in that process. But there's a balance. You know, you're either going to take it because the flavor's okay and it doesn't
Yeah.
strip all the juice off your tongue.
Yeah.
Or you're going to go, oh yeah, okay, maybe not that product. And so we sort of leaned toward the side of the better flavor. Plus, you know, everything we do is all around food and taste anyway. So it was important enough to change the flavor profile to make distillate and maybe lose a few terpenes than to make a product that didn't taste good.
Right. Because, you know, I had somebody bring that up to me when I was talking about your tea and how much I liked it. And they were like, ew, doesn't it taste grassy?
Oh, right.
And I'm
yeah,
like,
well, that's
not
when
at
they use
all.
leaves instead of
Yeah.
hemp buds.
Yeah.
The thing about the tea, and you know, I have a hard time like, oh, look at me, I'm so great. But if somebody asks me about the process and I start talking about what we do and how much time and effort we take to prep tea, and I'll walk you through it because it is kind of astonishing. And we just got some, so I'm going to be doing it a lot. And then they go, oh, okay,
Right,
now I get
right.
it. It's not just tea. I get it, what you're doing
Right.
there. So we get the raw hemp flower, and it looks like medical marijuana. So if you go to a medical marijuana shop, there's little buds. These are little buds. But the THC has to be 0.3 or less by law, right? For them to even grow it, for us to buy and produce it. Everything has to be 0.3 or less. So even though it looks and smells like medical marijuana, it's not. It is 100% industrial hemp. Always. We are never going to dabble around in anything that's, you know, because sometimes farmers will try and sell you stuff that's a little bit hot because they maybe left it growing too long and it's pinging a little bit. And you know, when you make tincture out of stuff, that doesn't really matter because it gets concentrated and then diluted
Right.
back down. And so long as your end product is less than 0.3, right, it's going to clear and you're all good. But you know, when you're talking about the raw hemp product, you don't want to be anywhere close to that. And since that's what the tea's made out of, it's been a little bit tricky because we want to find as high a CBD as we can, but we cannot hit 0.3. And I was thrilled because the test came yesterday and it's 0.289. And
That's hemp.
Wow.
The flowers ranging, one test we saw showed it 10% CBD, and the one we just got back, which we're going to use, is showing it 8. Because that's the one that shows 0.289% THC. So that means now for the first time we can sell, because everything we've ever made before, we've just made into tea. We've never had enough. We've never bought enough that made sense to make any other products out of it, right? It just gets mixed into the tea. We're actually going to sell it as raw hemp flower. I'm really excited. So I'm designing labels right now and figuring out the packaging and, you know, how to price it at a fair price that's not ridiculously overcost. And, you know, but we're still making enough profit. We can keep buying more hemp flower
Right.
because this last buy was $4,000.
Wow.
And that's a pretty standard, like, no big deal buy.
Right.
When you're talking about this stuff that costs. But, you know, I mean, last year we were looking at $300 and $500 a pound.
Yeah.
It's gone down. You know, we'll see how it goes because it's going up right now because everybody's out. And so the prices are going up again. I'm like, you know, they were coming down, yay! And then now they're starting to like tick back up again. I'm like, oh, God.
Well, as soon
It's
as
because
harvest
the
comes.
the crop hasn't come in and they're starting to run out. And so people are starting to make stuff with a little extra maybe pesticides, stuff that they were sort of waiting on, right? Because they're starting to run out of actual like biomass. We get calls all the time from people going, do you guys have any, you know, as if I'm a hemp broker. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
If I was a hemp broker and decided to spend time on effort on that, I'm sure I could, because I know a lot of growers, but that's not what we do. So.
Yeah.
So you can buy your awesome products on our website now,
Yes.
which is what I want to show people.
Oh yeah, here. Where should
Watch
I go?
this. Boom. Right there.
Right
Go to
there.
veedverks.com, products, Flora's Mercantile, and
Here we go.
we have her 1,500 milligram tincture. We have reading 89 screens here, but we've got the 250. We have Lala's Go-Go Juice, 300 milligram CBD extract. I'm telling you, your dog will love you for it. Your dog will love you for the 1,500 too, by the way. And then teas.
Oh yeah, and the new packaging is. Let's see, can we closer without too much glare? So we've switched over actually to these paper boxes. Oh, that looks
Nice.
awesome. Paper is biodegradable. At some point, we're going to do hemp, and all of the plastic will be bioplastic.
Hi, Mary.
But right now, unfortunately, if you look at bioplastic on the big plastic manufacturing wholesale,
Right.
those, the bioplastic is made out of GMO corn. I'm like, is that better than
Yeah.
plastic or worse? I can't decide.
I
but I
can't
can't
either.
pull the trigger also because the costs are like for a insert bag, right? That you just heat seal. Like,
Right.
that goes in here with like the tea bags in it. Let's just say they cost a penny.
Right.
If you're buying bioplastic, they cost 4 or 5 cents. So you're buying 100 million thousand of these. That's a huge
Yeah,
cost
that's-
increase. And so we're trying to get away from using so much plastic. And unfortunately, even though the glass jars are very nice, they cost too much to ship. They are heavy. We have to actually prep the glass jars. We have to clean them, which
Yeah.
I didn't even think of when I chose them. And then after I started doing it, I was like, what am I thinking? What a dumb idea. But with this kind of thing, well, you can have a filler in a bag, right? And so you can mechanize this more easily than you can with and start getting more, I've been talking to co-packers about doing the teas because we just got 50 pounds of hemp.
Co-packers
You make a
co-packers are
crap
going to be the
load of
ones
tea.
who ultimately
Yeah.
make the killing in the next couple of years.
Yeah, well,
the
either
people
that
who
or we're
already
gonna
have the
to
machinery in
invest
place.
in our own equipment. And do you know? I have a friend who's working in the Mint doing hemp wrap marijuana cigars and selling them in the dispensaries. And he has access to staff. He's got space. I was like, dude, as soon as we get in front of this current stupidity. Let's invest in one of those tea machines because it would actually cost us less to buy a tea machine. And he has access to very smart mechanical type humans
Right.
who can fix it and tune it and figure out how to make it work because everything's in Chinese. It's coming right out of a shipping
Right.
container. But if we get the right one, it would cost us half as much to buy a machine as it would for me to co-pack 50 pounds of hemp flour into tea.
Right. Yeah.
And that way we can share the cost and the space, and they can use it, and it could be a really amazing thing to help us all move forward without it costing everybody so much. Because the co-packing price I got for a single tea bag, was 25 cents. 25. Are you kidding me? 25 cents. Not 2.5 cents or even better. 0.25 cents, right? 25 cents. So for 4 tea bags, it would cost $1. 8 tea bags is $2. 12 tea bags
that's
is
getting
$3.
a little
It
out of
adds
hand. That's about
$3 to the cost
Yeah,
of a
you've
box
already
like
passed the
this.
point where I start
Like,
pricing
what the
machines.
what?
I'd be
Exactly.
shopping for
Like,
machines.
I laughed out loud when he told me. I was like, well, I can do it for
guess
25
so.
cents a bag. And I go, well, yeah, I bet you could. I mean, I just did some quick math in my head, and I was like, oh, yeah, no way, dude. It's just astonishingly expensive. And we're trying to keep the costs down so that we can actually sell this stuff to people at not an outrageous price because it's so damned expensive. It's ridiculous, but the costs are coming down. Next year maybe a big enough crop will come in. Except, every 2 weeks I get a phone call from somebody like desperate for weight. And I'm like, oh God, they're talking like, I need 100 pounds of isolate. There's not one lab anywhere making 100 pounds of isolate. That is a huge amount. That's a huge order.
Yeah, you hear those orders. Hey, do you know where I can get 20,000 pounds or 20,000 kilos of? It's like,
I was like,
maybe I do, maybe I don't, but I'm not going to make the phone call and ask the question, because the day I find somebody's going through that kind of weight is the day that we all just go, oh.
Holy
so
crap.
there you are, surprise company that hasn't been doing shit in the industry for because we don't know.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
It's coming, but that's a lot of weight. I mean, I keep hearing these phone calls from
20,000 kilos.
California, we need. I'm like, wow, okay. I mean, I can throw you at a few people I know, but you're never getting that from any lab here in Colorado. Never. I mean, maybe 10 labs, maybe. But they all have commitments, and there's a maximum amount that those machines can process at one time, and you got to get your hands on the biomass first, and you got to test to make sure it's not pesticides, right? Otherwise, you're just poisoning people.
Right.
So, there's all these delays, right? I've learned my lesson about the pesticides test, by the way, and to do that one first.
Yeah,
now
you got
that puts a week delay.
Yeah.
In the testing process.
Yeah.
But it also is going to cost me, $300 less to not be a moron. It starts to add up. You do that a couple of times. Like, oh wow, that was dumb. But you learn your lessons and try and move on and not be too darn angry about it. But I just got a bill from our testing lab and it was $1,200, and I was like, oh Jesus, that's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Especially for product you can't use.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's
that's
just wrong.
There's got to be legislation started soon to protect, the small business person that buys the hemp in good faith,
Right.
And they're showing you
But
all
we're not
these
buying
test
it at that point. We're just getting a sample to test.
Yeah, just get
but
the
it still
sample.
cost me $320.
That's how you do it. You get the sample. Well, if you can trust a sample, I just want it from the actual kilo.
Well,
and then, like say for isolate, and then get it tested and find out what the actual.
Check for solvents.
Check for solvents.
Check what the CBD number is.
Check for all that stuff, and then that's what you use to do all that math we were talking about earlier to formulate your products. And then when you're finished with the formulation, then you have to take it to get tested again to make sure that you did your math right, or that you hit your numbers right. It could be as simple as you stick a stupid glass stir rod in there, and CBD goes on it, and it
totally screws up your
numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you
have a trickier mix than I do. Ours, as soon as it gets warm and gets into the oil, it just completely disperses.
We have different types.
I've never had any trouble with the batch testing coming out different at different times. It's just as soon as it gets in there, it's just woohoo! But you got to heat it up a little bit, otherwise it's like crystallized honey.
Yeah.
Right? The distillate's solid at room temperature as soon as it settles into the jar.
Yeah.
So
CBD wants to be a crystal,
and it does this weird thing where it crystallizes from the inside out or from the edges in, and it pushes
the
terpenes around
and the THC
to
the outside too.
So as soon as it solidifies, if you pull a test off of it, it's going to be wrong because it's not a well mixed up sample anymore.
Yeah, you have to.
So whenever they do that, I'm just like, oh, for crap's sake, because I don't like to heat it up unless I'm ready to use it, because it changes the flavor profile, and so I'll heat it up just enough to utilize it once, and we actually have to figure out our math and get all of the oil ready, and then do the mixes into the carboys,
and then it goes back.
They sit there with all their tags and stickers and names and numbers on them until we get it tested, and then we bottle it up.
Yeah.
But did you grab a bottle? You can show them what the test looks like. Look at the 1500. We actually, because we're ridiculously printing our labels at the house on this really high quality printer, on these super high quality labels, we can actually print each batch, and there's a batch SKU and a test on every bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And you, I don't know where you go to test. Do you go to Botanicore or RM3? That's not coming into focus very well, but
yeah, the state of Colorado approved labs. So it's the same labs that the medical marijuana companies use.
Mm-hmm.
They have a slightly more rigorous set of standards that they have to adhere to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that the other labs don't, because I'm sure every lab has their different standards. And I haven't actually dug down that much. Maybe it's a level of laziness, I'm not sure. It's a lot of data, and I just don't have the bandwidth. So I'm trusting the state of Colorado to do that for me and to make sure that they adhere to a certain standard. But in order to use those labs, because you have to have an RFID tag, you have to either be a farmer and set up your own RFID tag through the med system, or work through a farmer who has access to that. And so we're with a co-op with Veronica Carpio at Grow Hemp, Colorado, and we throw a few bucks at her, and she throws a few RFID tags at us. It's just, there's a layer there because you have to go through her to get them turned on, and then tests go through her. And so there's a little delay there. But, you're just trying to build it into your schedule and get on with your day. But there's always delays in testing. We were doing it at Phytotech, and the guy who did it only did it on the weekends. So it didn't matter when you turn the sample in. It's still like a week before you get the result.
Didn't you have a bunch of hemp that you just couldn't even do anything with?
We got 5 pounds that was actually so tainted with an unallowed pesticide. This was the guy who's the organic grower who we think it was drift. But it doesn't matter. I'm not going to use that. I mean, I was just buying it because I was like, let's just get 5 pounds because I'm going to buy the whole rest of the 50 you have, and we'll just run the test off of this 5. And now I've got 5 pounds of hemp in a bag that says poison, do not use. And I show it to people and go, can you tell there's poison on this? And they're like, no. And I go, there is. This is an unusable product.
That's too bad.
And you can't smell it. You can't taste it. It's completely invisible unless you run the test and see it come back positive. Yeah, it's pretty shocking. It's a ornamental that you put on mites, on ornamentals. You're not allowed to put it on any food product or medicine product, or whatever, however you want to classify this stuff.
Yeah.
Any comestible, ingestible.
Yeah.
Consumable.
Consumable. There you go.
Comestible.
So yeah. I don't know why I'm ranting about the pesticides today.
It's what.
Well, I just got the bill, right? I saw it. I was like, oh, damn it.
All right. Well, tell us then how you came up with these lovely blends.
Oh, the tea is interesting. Tea is and always has been medicinal, right? Ever since man put an herb in a pot of water and made tea, there was a reason for it. It smelled good, and now we know that terpenes are good for us, right? It tasted good. It has good flavor, right? You use herbs to flavor food, but all tea is medicinal. But what they're finding out about, and I'm talking about not just black tea or green tea, right? Tea leaf tea, but any sort of herb steeped in water.
What about Swedish fish tea?
I don't know, what is that?
About red vines tea?
I said herb.
Oh,
Smarty.
sorry. Not all tea is medicinal.
Yeah. my Butterfinger tea.
Yeah.
Put it in a blender here, frappe. So and I like tea, but there's some companies who are making tea, they're quotes, tea out of hemp. That's hemp leaves, or hemp.
Sorry, we have a question here.
Oh, sure.
Brian Rainwater's asking if your tea has the same effect whether it's hot or cold.
I would say yes, because you have to brew it with hot water initially.
You need to brew it with hot water.
Yeah, in order to make tea out of it. Otherwise, it's just
you wouldn't
sitting in
recommend
cold water.
CBD.
Some tea will work, sure. Tea, it's just it's a more subtle process because the water heats up so slowly.
How hot do you get the water?
Just boiling water.
Yeah. So CBD melts at about 66 degrees Celsius, and boiling water is 100 degrees Celsius. And so you kind of need to, not to oversimplify it, but you got to get that tea hot in order to get that stuff off of it.
It has to dissolve the trichomes off the outside of the plant. And since this is all bud material, and we were talking about process.
Then you can cool it down and it'll have the same effect.
It will, and there's this kind of cool thing you can do because the CBD doesn't come off in water very well, it's not a very water-soluble material, right?
No.
I mean, if it did, when it rained, all the trichomes would be knocked off onto the ground.
Yeah.
And then the hemp plant wouldn't be protected anymore. So hemp or marijuana is not a water-soluble plant. All of that stuff is very oil-soluble, but not water. All these products that they make are water-soluble. They have to make the molecule in something else, and so it dilutes it. They encapsulate it in starch, or encapsulate it in something else
soy
that's been
lecithin.
encapsulated in starch, or lecithin, or something else, which just dilutes it, from my perspective, to make it water soluble. But however you want to go, man, however you want to get it, I'm all good. But sorry, I just lost my thread. We're talking about water soluble. Oh, tea. So you have to put hot water to get that stuff just to come off the plant in some way. And the cool thing about the tea is as soon as you've seeped it enough and you've got it to your flavor profile you like, put the bag in another cup, fill it with more hot water, and let that just sit. You can put it in the fridge, and you'll still get CBD off of the tea at least 2 or 3 times. You do lose some tea flavor, so just put another tea bag of another kind of tea you like in to augment the tea flavor, but you'll still get CBD off of it. So even though it does seem like ridiculously overpriced because of the cost of the hemp, $500 a pound.
It's not ridiculously priced.
And it's not,
Have a
by the
glass
way,
of, what do you pay for a glass?
If you price ours,
what do you pay for a Starbucks cup of coffee?
If you compare it to like
and then
tea, you're buying by bag at the grocery store, like just nice quality organic tea, it's a lot more. But the fact you can use it 3 times changes that. The fact there's CBD in there, and it's a measurable amount, by the way. I have been very hesitant about putting numbers on the labels until we got the test back.
Yeah.
And we have a real, actual number that I can say, this bag of tea has blah, blah amount of CBD in it, because I wanted to base it on a real number versus just doing the calculation. Right? Calculating the CBD versus getting a test and then using that as the basis is different, right? Because they're like, well, it's got 10%. If I had to base that off his number he gave me, I'd have been wrong. It's 8. That's a lot different.
Yeah.
So that
lot of
changes
math.
it's gonna, exactly. Math.
It's a lot of math. Always doing math.
We actually will decarb the flower, because there's people who smoke marijuana know this. It doesn't get you stoned unless you heat it up in some way. So you either put it in cooking oil and cook it, or smoke it, because there's an extra molecule on the end of this molecule chain, and so it doesn't fit in the receptor.
Because it's CBDA, before it's decarboxylated, before it's heated up to a certain point, then the trichomes on the buds of the hemp contain the acidic forms of all of these molecules, instead of,
which are still astonishingly good for us.
oh
by
yes,
the way.
they
Eating
just do
hemp,
different
juicing
things.
hemp.
They just do different things.
Any-
It's like the difference between making something with sugar, or caramelizing the sugar and making something. It changes it
a lot. Yeah.
So
yeah,
you
caramel.
guys heat it up to a certain temperature for a certain amount of time, which decarboxylates the CBDA that's in the trichomes on that hemp, and it sheds a carboxyl molecule, basically CO2 with it. And
it breaks that bond.
That breaks that bond, gets rid of that stuff, and now you got CBD.
So now we have activated CBD. So the tea is activated CBD, not raw.
Yeah.
And we also do this. It
so
really is ridiculous.
You could eat it.
Someday we may change the process to a less ridiculous process. But after it's been decarbed, we actually press it through a sieve, so that all the sticks and stems and seeds aren't in the end result. And that is, I call it hemp matcha. It's beautiful, green, powdery flour that's been basically powdered through a screen. Yeah. So you can still see it and obviously smell it. And we use that for the tea, and we also use it for the capsules. So the capsules are decarboxylated as well, and it's the tea before it gets made into tea.
So these capsules that they make are the hemp that we've been talking about at length, painfully sourced and exhaustively and expensively tested and prepped.
Yeah, so but it matters. It matters. It changes the flavor profile of the tea, because otherwise it's got this kind of bitter note to it. And roasted seeds do not taste good, believe me. It's an awful bitter flavor. And this is an outdoor crop. There's seeds in it. That's just the way it is. Sometimes you get a lot. This last batch had a lot more than I was expecting. I'm like, oh, darn it. Because you're paying for weight that's not actually actively available for use, right? And so that's frustrating. And the tests come out lower than they should because the seeds are part of the sample that you're sending in, right? I didn't grind it up. I just go, oh, this sample, test this. Here's a good version of what we're making. Do that. Yeah. And I want the tests to be accurate. I'm not like cherry picking and prepping it and changing it. I want this to be accurate. I want the package to reflect what this actually is. And so it's important to get an accurate and real test off of the products that we're making. So I'm okay with the 8%. I mean, I'd rather it be 10. I'd rather it be 20 if we could get that on this stuff, which you can't really. But it's okay. It's good. That's a nice little hit of CBD.
Oh yeah.
If you need to, and what we're thinking is you can use it to augment. So if you smoke marijuana and you can't get a hold of a CBD strain, you can add it to your current, pipe load or you can also cook with it. You can make salve out of it, right? Right, because it's right hand. What? Not the tea. But you know what we are going to do with the tea?
Can you smoke tea?
We're going to make tea-flavored gummies with all-natural ingredients.
Really?
So people can get the CBD in a different way.
Don't make it look like a bear. Make it look like something
I've been looking
very
at
adult-like.
Yeah,
make it look like a 10.
Candy.
Make it look like a 1040 or
I don't know.
Something adult.
You have to, in order to
Make it
batch
look like
this
an
stuff
audit.
up, you need to start thinking about more industrial-sized, right, candy making. Because every time I think small, and it turns into a big project to fix it later. And so now I'm trying to think mid-size, I guess, versus stupidity. And I actually looked at a bunch of commercial candy. Unfortunately, it's all made out of plastic. It's nylon plastic, that doesn't degrade under heat.
The candy is?
The trays that you dump the hot candy into to set is all made out of plastic. I was like, I've tried so hard to get rid of plastic.
I've seen on how it's made. You need to be making
those
the cornstarch trays.
Yeah,
with
those starch ones.
How it's made.
Yeah.
If we did a how it's made in this facility, it would be a challenge to make it look like it was nearly as impressive as making, say, a Ferrari or
right.
or
Just mix this
billions
stuff
of
in bowls.
gummy bears. You could do that though.
But I got a bunch of all natural fruit extract, and this is also for the cotton candy too, which we're going to have at events. Is naturally flavored cotton candy.
That's right, events.
Yeah, tell us about your events. What are you going to next?
We have on Sunday we're going to be in Boulder at the Boulder Park. There's an event. Farmers market event. If you go to coloradoevents.net, you can pull up his webpage about the event. We're doing a bunch with him this year.
Are you?
Yeah, we'll be up in Estes Park for an event. We're up in Boulder a lot. At the end of the month, the Edgewater Farmers Market is starting.
Oh.
Next month we've got a pet expo.
Nice.
I'm actually going to work on that today. I need to make some Where's Flora's promo graphics, and then I'm going to do some events on the Flora's Mercantile. So you can follow us on Flora's Mercantile on Facebook or Flora Farmer on Facebook. That's the username I use. I would be much more political if I wasn't hidden behind this layer of, trying not to be a dummy on the big interweb because, I've got a lot of, and it's hard to rein that in. So as I post under Flora Farmer because it keeps me from losing my mind completely, and it helps to keep it more business focused versus personal focused, and all the things that I'm passionate about. And so I know it's odd, but it's a business account. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I don't post as myself anymore at all. I just don't have time.
Right.
So it's all Flora Farmer or nothing.
But if we want to get the real juice on you and to see what you really want to say, you got to go to your cup of tea and a joint.
Yeah.
Or
There's
your
no filter at that.
Or your Tinder app.
Tinder. Do I even have? I don't think Flora has a Tinder app.
Are we?
She's not on Tinder.
That's funny. Do the people use Tinder for business?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. That would be
I'm
so
definitely
funny.
not ever going to try and find out. 'Cause
Tinder.
I just can't.
But that'd be a good idea, though.
Tinder for business.
So, Travis, I wanted to thank you so much. We had a little kerfuffle on our website, and Veedverks kicked into gear big time to host our shop page, and we've been talking about it, and this really helped kick in a gear instead of us dragging our feet for no clear reason, really. We're just busy and never really got around to it. So it helped us get that rolling. But I appreciate you guys doing that so quickly. And thank you, Josh, for doing all the page build out. Because, I mean, I was like, you know what we should do? And Travis was like, what? And I go, bliddity-bloddity, let's get it live on your website. And the next day, it was live on his website. And that's pretty damn impressive. So,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
We got some orders already, too,
Yeah.
which I'm
Stick
thrilled
around.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should definitely buy some Flora's Mercantile products.
And I'm happy to answer questions. Do you know, I try not to be too moronic about the things that I say, and you know, curative statements have been scrubbed completely. We actually got an email from somebody who said, you know, your tincture cured blah blah disease, right? And, and I was like, oh God, I can't post it. And so I'm, you know, a bit of a smart ass. And so I put it in my customer comment, you know, framework that I have built out, that I just use and put up on the website.
Yeah.
And I put it in there, and I was reading it. I was like, God, I can't use it. And so I did a copy paste of it, and I blacked out the curative statement and said redacted curative statement.
Yeah.
And then I blacked out the disease, and I said redacted disease, and I posted it up like that.
Yeah.
So I'm so mad I couldn't use it.
Put 6630507.
Yeah, crossed it,
Like,
exactly.
6630507. 6630507.
So, yeah,
The
that's
U.
a good one, too.
Oh, I don't have my marker here.
But it's so hard to keep that in mind, you know, because I mean, when I talk to people that call in or send us messages, I have to say things like, "It has been reported."
Yeah.
to us,"
I read the
or-
other day, and you know, I'll tell him my personal experience because
Right.
I have a torn meniscus that I've been suffering from for 9 years. Flora's daughter, my great aunt Ruth, was in a walker that was collapsing, and I saved her from falling. But I also racked up my knee big time, and I tore the meniscus, and it's been hurting for 8 years. It hurts as soon as I stand on it. And when I walk, and especially standing just miserable. And I started taking CBD last year consistently, right? I was doing edibles and, you know, a little here and a little there. And I was like, okay, I'm determined to do this every day. And I did the 1500, I did a dropper full every day. So that's 50 milligrams. That's a big dose.
Yeah.
Right now I'm taking 25, and that seems to be a nice management number. For 2 weeks, and I can actually see my knee swelling, going down. The bendability of it increased. So, because before I could only bend it like that.
Right.
It's hard to see my hand. And now I can bend it a lot more. It still doesn't bend as much as the other one because it's a mechanical tear. But I can stand on it now. Even at the end of a 3-day weekend, I'm still standing, and that's just astonishing to me. Because before, I would be sitting there as soon as we set up. I would sit down. And I would complain about my knee all weekend. That's all you heard. It was me whining about how much my knee hurt. And, oh, I got to sit down. And, oh, I got to go somewhere. Oh, my knee. And now, at the end of a 3-day event, I'm still standing. It hurts a little, right? A little more, especially at the end of 3 days. And it's a little stiffer. But do you know what helps now? Because the tincture, you know, there's only so much your body can use and absorb. You can take a lot more, and you just waste it, honestly. Is the salve, direct application of the salve. And because I do these things where I stop taking the CBD to test something out. And so I did that because I wanted to test the salve out.
Right.
And so at the end of the 3-day weekend, I was miserable. And it hurts so much that I can't get comfortable. So I just keep shifting my leg and shifting my leg and shifting my leg, trying to get into a position where it's just not throbbing and throbbing and throbbing. And I rubbed the salve on it, and 15 minutes later, I fell asleep.
What I like about this is you put Golden Seal in there.
Golden Seal's
And
nuts.
I've taken Golden Seal for years for different things.
Yeah,
And,
it's been a proven anti-inflammatory. They've actually done studies about it. When I was little, my terrible parents, one of the things my mom made was Golden Seal salve, a little homemade salve, basically just petroleum jelly.
Right.
But Golden Seal in that.
Right.
And whenever we got hurt or cut or burned, we would use that. That was our Neosporin of the day.
Oh, yeah.
And so I knew Golden Seal worked just based on my own experience. And so I thought it would make a nice ingredient. And the test batch, the little small test batch we made, I was like, oh, dude, I'm good. Who knew I was so good at this? I mean, I've never made salve before, and it came out perfect. It came out perfect. The consistency of it and the greasiness of it and it was, gosh, I'm really pleased with this product. And the fact that this tiny little container has 50 milligrams of CBD in it. It's a quarter of an ounce. We gave some samples out and I got a phone call from a colleague, and he said he used it on his heel cracks because it's really nice for skin damage. So he has cracked, dried up heels, and he was just using it on his heels to try and heal that skin. And he said the next day his knee stopped hurting because there's so much CBD in it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's cool.
It's a magic molecule. We're at this period of time where
I know.
pretty soon.
Don't you think we're going to start seeing it in everything?
Everything.
Like they do vitamin D and kids
Everything.
cereal and
Well,
milk.
it was just like I told.
It's going to be in
You're
so
gonna add
much
it
stuff.
Yeah.
to everything.
And it's going to make your life better.
Well, hopefully it's not going to be some horrible quality, imported dreck. It's going to, it's
I mean, you got to know who you're.
Good quality stuff and not just
Right.
that bucket of hemp crap.
There will
is
be
what
a bunch
I call
of
it.
crap out there. There is some crap out there, but in Colorado, I really can't say that I have anything bad to say about any of the legit
Yeah.
hemp
There's a
product
lot of
companies.
really good products here.
There's,
Yeah,
I mean,
astonishing.
we all know each other. We all go talk to the same farmers growing the same plants, the same extraction facilities, the same
There's
everything.
not that many.
Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see you.
It's a short list.
I see you more in the evenings than, like, say, I talk to any of my family members who don't live with me.
Right.
Like we see each other a lot. And
Yeah.
it's a pretty tight knit community.
It is.
as
It's
evidenced
a
by the fact
lovely
that
and supportive group of people, honestly. And anybody who thinks at this level that there's direct competition, I mean, unless somebody steals my brand and starts screwing with me in some way, everybody has a different feel and a like, and everybody has their own brand of beer they like for a certain reason or another, and the things that appeal to them for whatever psychological. Who knows how branding works? I have no clue. But there's things that appeal to people. There's younger kids who like the more brighter colored things, and they don't care that there's artificial flavor, right? And then there's the moms whose kids have seizures. That the fact that you don't put artificial color and flavor in your stuff matters.
Yeah. Big
Right?
time.
Big time, because
I'm
it
one of
can
those
cause seizures. We have a woman whose husband was having hour-long seizures, and out of complete desperation, because they're in a zero tolerant state, let's just say, she tried CBD for him, and the seizures went down from an hour to a minute. But how they got him to turn off? They went to some kid and got some marijuana. He needs the THC to shut him off completely. So an hour to a minute is astonishing, but an hour-long seizure is going to kill you.
Yeah.
A minute-long seizure will kill you. It'll just take a little bit longer to do.
Right.
So a minute-long seizure is still a very, very bad thing. And the fact that they couldn't stop it completely until they used medical marijuana. I mean, all marijuana use is medical. And regardless if it's, some dirt weed from the kid around the corner, if it's helping you not to have a seizure, I'm going to go ahead and call that medical marijuana.
Right.
And the fact is she asked me for help, like, what do I do? And I said, well, there's other tincture makers in Colorado, and these are other products I know people are using for seizures. And we've heard, nothing bad ever about any of these companies.
Right.
But I don't know if their THC numbers are going to be higher than ours, because we're all required to comply to this 0.3 or less restriction. But clearly, in their case, that's far too little to be of complete benefit.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's, I don't want to ever be on the CBD bandwagon where I'm going, CBD is the cure-all to end-all. It just isn't.
Well, I see people say that online a lot, and I'll never jump into that fray, because it's not an argument you can win with somebody who has that very strong of an opinion about something, right? Only CBD, only THC. Whatever works for you, dude. And if you can get CBD, then get CBD. If you can get THC, get THC. Whatever you can do that can help you feel better, do that.
Right.
CBD is just an extremely powerful anti-inflammatory, and it helps with pain in ways that if you haven't tried it, you'll be amazed that
I mean,
it
my
can make
knee is. And prior to taking CBD every day for 2 weeks and seeing this result, I believed in CBD. But believing it is different than actually, actively taking it and taking care of yourself.
Right.
For me, it was when I burned my hand. And I called you that night when I burned.
Did you put the isolate on it, right?
I put what would become Amelia. That was the night we decided that we're like, we're gonna make this. We're gonna go for this. Is because I picked up a pan that was, because the handle doesn't get hot. I have a pan where the handle doesn't get hot on the stovetop, and I used it for 10 years on the stovetop. No, 15 years on the stovetop. I got it when I was 30. It's a nice pan. I remember how old I was when I got it. And
I know. I remember my first expensive pan. It was a $50 pan.
I put it in the oven though, and
the handle was hot.
Then I was doing whatever, and I just have never once, and it didn't even occur to me, and I was like talking to my brother or somebody.
And then you dropped it, and then there went all the ingredients.
No, I kept hold of it. I transferred it to the stove because it had bacon in it. It had bacon in it.
Well, that's serious.
And it just left this terrible,
nice
blister just right up my hand. It looked unlike anything I'd ever seen on my own body, And
I know, it's astonishing.
I had been, screwing around with Amelia formulations, and I put some on. I put on a glove, and I grabbed ice for 15 minutes, and then I grabbed like a wad of paper towels for another 15 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm talking to you on the phone about I just burned the
crap out of my head.
Oh my God. Yeah. And when I took my glove off, my blisters were gone. And I'll still always be able to feel kind of in my mind exactly where it hit on my hand, exactly where those were. But you can't tell.
Yeah, there's no scar.
There's
amazing.
The U.S. government, by the way, has a patent on cannabinoids as antioxidants and neuroprotectants. It's U.S. government patent number 6630507. In order to be a Schedule 1 drug, it must meet three criteria. It has to be highly addictive, it has to have no accepted medical value, and it has to be so dangerous basically that you can't test it for future accepted medical value. The U.S. government's own patent on cannabis, 6630507, single-handedly negates that second point. It has known accepted medical value. The U.S. government has a patent on it. Cannabis should not be on Schedule 1. It needs to come off Schedule 1 ASAP. And there's a Facebook group, Talk to the 6630507 hand, and join us in that group. We get out a lot of information that way. Sorry for that aside.
No.
Oh, there's a question about cornstarch. We don't use cornstarch. I was just talking in general about microencapsulating to make CBD water soluble. I don't use any GMO.
Oh, she was talking about the gummy bears, though. Mary's talking about the gummy bears. So, I don't know, silicone trays.
Oh, I see, as the trays.
As the forming the trays and stuff.
It's not something that we've investigated. We were just talking about processes.
Yeah, just
this
about the process.
This is not something we're doing currently.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, no. I'm just trying to get away from using plastic, and cornstarch is an option. But cornstarch is all GMO, and so we don't use GMO in our products, so we wouldn't use that. Anyway, there would probably be something else. Rice starch that's not GMO, or
you trust
something
the organic cornstarch.
Well, yeah, no. Of course, there's organic products out there. Those butterfly verified stuff. That stuff's all pretty compliant.
Right.
All the stuff we buy is
you guys scoot up.
USD. Oh, we got the fan on.
Yeah, we had to turn on some of our
US
fans here.
certified organic, which has supposedly a higher level of standards. Supposedly.
Right.
I'm a little skeptical sometimes about it because they keep changing the rule set.
Right.
And labeling laws are changing. They're going to be allowed to not label GMOs or label them in certain ways that obscure the fact that it's GMOs, and so doing things with the butterfly certified, non-GMO project,
right,
and supporting companies like that is important because they are making sure that companies are adhering to a higher level of standard.
Right.
And that's important because, we keep saying we're organic, and you need to be able to be organic and not just buy some BS somebody's handing you. Yeah, this is organic. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's like that hemp that was ostensibly organic that we bought 5 pounds of and now sitting in my garage in a bag. Like, do not touch. Caution. Toxic. So, yeah, I don't know what to do with it.
So that's what I was talking about. There's gotta
I
be
should
some
throw it
kind
away or destroy it in some way.
No.
But it's just in the bag right now.
There's
in
so
a
many
box.
fun. We have, at this point, we have gallons of e-liquid and like even cartridge oil that failed in R&D, like failed experiments, with probably, I don't know.
Hundreds and hundreds of dollars of distillate and isolate in it.
No, hundreds and hundreds of grams of CBD in it. And we're going to blow that through a smoke machine someday.
Oh, there you go.
Repurpose, but
Yeah.
it didn't. The problem with it wasn't pesticides, though. So I don't know if I'd
It's just a
gas
formulation
this place out.
stuff. Yeah. I
But
wonder.
no, yeah, just the formula. Like a lot of it was dealing with cloudiness when we were doing the e-liquids. We had a great deal of trouble making them.
Yeah, no,
not
you were talking
cloudy.
about
It
it when
sucked.
you were
It took a
trying
lot
to
of
get that straight.
Yeah.
It looked like a challenge. Yeah, we have a much easier time with just the oil and the distillate.
Yeah.
It's a much easier mix for sure. That those cartridge stuff you guys are dealing with is a lot more technical too, and you've got the technology of it, right? I've got a glass bottle. That's as technical as we get in our little world. A little sticker label and a heat impulse sealer is about as tricky as we get over there at Flora's. And a lot of hand labor. That's the part I'm trying to get away from. Like, we're talking about this tea machine. Because putting tea in a bag and sealing the bag is not my idea of a good time.
No.
And
Making stuff
nobody
sucks.
should have to
It
do
adds-
that. That's just awful.
It's
Mechanical Advantage is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
We have it's $50 because it's all food grade stainless steel, and it's a funnel, but it's got a little piece of metal that goes down the bottom and a little plug. And then
oh, cool.
Right? So we can go like doop 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 and deposit the hot
neat.
salve.
Oh yeah.
But you have to do it in really small batches because the salve cools off and then it sticks to the inside
Yeah.
because it's all metal. You get the heat gun. Like, oh God, it's gonna
That's
be
what I'm
better,
never
right?
doing.
But there's heated depositors.
I'm never.
Yeah.
Right, but they're really expensive, and we're trying to keep our overhead down, and so everything's still a lot of handwork, which is just absurd. But
Same
hey,
here.
I'm thrilled with the depositor versus a cup.
That's what I have to do
a
right
hot
now.
cup going like this.
I have to.
The depositor is like bang, 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 bang. We made like 500 of the little mini ones, and like so fast, I was just astonished. And they were all laid out on the tables at the kitchen, commercial kitchen, cooling before we put the lids on them. And I was like taking pictures, like I'm in a fashion show. I was all proud of myself. And they were all filled exactly the same. Oh, it was a beautiful thing. Yeah, Mechanical Advantage is really handy when you can figure that out. Because I was hesitating. I was like, $50? This better freaking work. It's a hot candy depositor, right? I mean, that's what they're for.
Huh.
But it's all stainless steel. But it's super high quality that,
Yeah.
high-end restaurants, when they're making candy, buy this super high-quality German restaurant equipment. And I was looking at a sheeter to make the dog crackers easier because we're actually hand rolling out the dog crackers with rolling pins. And Harry, he's got those beautiful white shoulders from all the swimming he did as a kid. And so I'm like, here, you do it. And he's like rolling out dough, going, oh, why are we doing this?
I'd be cranking it through my little pasta machine by now. I'm sorry.
We have a pasta machine, but it's not wide enough. You need a sheeter, a dough sheeter, right? It's basically a pasta machine, but it's bigger.
Yeah.
And so I actually talked to Rocco, our friend Rocco.
Yeah.
He came to the Cup of Tea because he works for a kitchen equipment company. And I was like, dude, I don't know why I didn't ask you this.
Yeah.
I need a sheeter. We can't keep rolling out this stupid dog crackers by hand. We're getting really big orders from a few of our wholesale customers because they're selling like hotcakes.
And I didn't
Selling
realize
like
you had a
CBD
peanut
infused
butter
dog
flavor.
hot cakes.
It's organic, Adam's organic peanut butter.
Wow.
Yeah, gets mixed right into the dough.
Wow. So you have I don't want to call it
They're all
plain.
they're all peanut butter flavored.
They're all
always
peanut
has been,
butter?
yeah. We originally had cheese, but it was just a little too expensive. And it would always like fall out and just make a big mess. So okay, we're gonna ace out the cheese.
I could go the rest of my life without trying to make products with cheese in it.
Yeah.
Well, it's expensive. And then you got to kind of pick which cheese. And then I was like, oh, what's the flavor profile? I'm like, oh, it's a dog cracker. Just Stop it. But
Yeah.
there's we actually have a
Gruyere cheese crackers. Let's take this up a notch.
I know, right? A sanitized. And you know, if we put a little bit of sesame seeds and some salt and pepper on these would be high-end wine and cheese crackers. The quality of the ingredients
what?
and the
What about
flavor of
hip hop?
these would actually work really beautifully as an accompaniment to wine and cheese. They're really good. And if you get stuck out in the woods and you just taste them, if you just
I have
have dog
before.
crackers, you can eat them. This is all human grade food. It's all organic and 100% all natural. Right? They just need a little bit of salt.
A little bit of salt.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
So one of these days when we actually are in there enough
They
and
need
we're
to be
making a
bigger.
big enough batch,
Right.
right? We just make some labels for human
Well,
crackers.
I can't. This is not working. Look, this is square and this is round, and it's just not. It's just. Or maybe Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Spinal Tap. No. Anyway.
So yeah, a little bit of salt.
Yeah.
We could have human crackers out of them. But we actually have a ruler, a metal ruler. And right, so we're just rolling it on the we don't even have a bench. A bench is a wooden table that's
Right.
nice and solid. These are prep tables, and so they
Yeah.
flex a little in the
Yeah, I
middle,
hate
which
that.
drives me nuts because the middle's always a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, Harry, roll the middle, and so we can get them the same thickness because
Right.
otherwise they bake a little bit differently.
Right.
And then if you have too much water, of course, it's all going to go south because this stuff doesn't have any preservatives in it. It's all
Right.
completely natural food. So you got to drive all the water out, and if they're too thick, the baking time or the ones on the end would burn and all. So we need a sheeter, one. But Harry's been getting really good exercise rolling out the dough. We're in there for like 6 hours rolling out dough. And it's a ruler and a pizza cutter. But they have like multi-cutters, like multi-wheel cutters.
Yeah.
But I want a sheeter.
You want to get it rolled
I
out.
want the damn sheeter so much. I'm like, I want to spend a penny on any of the other kitchen equipment until we get that sheeter. I keep talking to my kitchen guy. I'm like, hey, you guys are ever get a sheeter in here? And he's like, no, because nobody else wants one but me. Someday.
I kind of want one now, and I'm still not entirely certain what it is.
It's use it to roll out pizza and dough. Yeah, it's instead of rolling it out by hand.
Yeah.
It's a motor and two
Wheels and-
two rods, and we feed the dough through it and crank it tighter.
Yeah,
It's a
all
pasta
right.
machine with a motor, and you can put more dough through it.
Put
There's
little wheels on it to like.
Right, and then you could like
Cut it
crank
in
down a
strips.
cutter
Yeah.
and run it this direction, and at least it would cut it in strips.
Right.
I
Done
mean,
that.
I've already thought about how to mechanize this whole dog cracker process and just like flip a switch, put the
Right.
dough in and like dig, and it's gonna be those tunnel ovens and the cooling. I mean, we have already figured out how to mass produce these dog crackers in my head. I am so ready to roll on these. It's astonishing, but you can't put hemp in food, so we can't do it. And I absolutely refuse to do imported bucket of hemp crap, that isolate garbage that
Screw
they're
it.
buying. That's
Yeah.
ostensibly more legal that the people who are
Whatever.
making legal dog
Hemp's
crackers are
plenty
using. I
legal.
refuse to
Hemp's
do it.
plenty legal. U.S., Colorado grown.
Until I can use Colorado grown hemp in a product at that level,
Right.
I absolutely refuse, and so I'm fine with doing small batch at
Right.
this point. It's
Right.
totally okay with me. You
You
do
know-
what you can do, right?
I
I need to
don't
go
want
make
anything
Can I just
from
say this?
China.
I need to go make a small batch of cartridges that we have to get filled up today, and I am integral to that process.
You are.
You
You're
guys
integral to all
are
the process.
welcome to.
No,
continue
I don't know. Did
talking
anybody
here,
have
but
any questions? Let's see.
Do we have any more
Join.
questions?
We have
Amber joined. Hey, Amber. Kate joined. This is cool. Kenny. Kenny.
Kenny.
Yeah. If anybody has any specific questions that I can answer, or just blabble on endlessly, I can blabble on endlessly.
Endlessly,
I'm
endlessly.
pretty good at it.
Let's see where we are now. Looks like traffic is moving very quickly in Golden right now. Looks like highway speeds are about 280 miles an hour. Course factory's looking good. Sun
I
is
love that graphic.
coming down. But,
When I first saw it, I was like, God, I hate you guys. You're so smart.
But anyway, I gotta go make some stuff.
All right.
So I gotta land
Thank
this
you.
thing. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Flora's products are available on
No, no.
Veedverks.com now, and you ought to buy some. They're good
Y'all
for us.
buy some.
You ought to buy some.
That's awesome. Thanks, man.
All right.